Welcome to June. This is the first of our 4 weeks in June, the beginning of the end of our year. The beginning of the year, which is going to be very exciting. Let's go ahead and have the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Rob, if you would mind giving us the introduction for that.
Thank you, Madam President. If you would all please mute yourselves, focus on my screen, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Rob. Fantastic. And if you see me going like that, it's because there are bugs in the room because the windows have to be open because there's no air conditioning here. Just so you know. All right, Ms. Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster Barbara, are you ready to begin?
I'm ready.
Fabulous. I will hand it off to you.
Good evening, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Do we have guests this evening? We do not. Doesn't look like it. It is my privilege and pleasure to welcome you to Cascade Speakeasy Toastmaster Club. There are three main parts of our Toastmasters Club meeting. One, prepared speeches, where members will be delivering speeches based on the project and paths that they have chosen. Number two, the table topic session, where members can practice thinking and speaking on their feet. I need lots of practice there. And number three, the evaluation session, in which all prepared speeches, as well as other aspects of the sessions or today's meeting, will be evaluated by the general evaluator and their team. Tonight's theme is hope and despair. And just to confirm, I am also responsible for word of the day, or no?
No.
Thank you. So I won't. I just put that in there just in case. So as Toastmaster of the day, it is my duty to introduce the appointment holders who will assist in the running of today's meeting. So please give a warm welcome to tonight's General Evaluator, Christina Stepper, who will explain the purpose of evaluating the meeting and introduce her team of evaluators.
Thank you, Barbara. Tonight we have one speech and thus one speech evaluator. Dean will tell you about his task in just a moment. I will be observing the meeting as a whole from our starting time to our ending time, all points in between. My team and I will report when called upon to do so, share our impressions and thoughts of tonight's meeting. Dean, could you please tell us what we'll be doing this evening?
Yes, I will be evaluating Jackie's speech, and her speech is quite a whopper. I think it will be the longest Toastmaster speech I've ever heard. The purpose of her project is to practice developing and presenting a longer humorous speech. She is to write and present an 18 to 22 minute keynote style humorous speech. She can choose to use visual aids. And I don't know, are you? Okay, she is. So we can look forward to that. Madam General Evaluator.
I'm sorry, I have to butt in. I was sidetracked momentarily. Did we get a time on your speech, Jackie?
It's 18 to 22 minutes.
22 minutes.
18 to 22.
Well, that's the far end of it. 22.
Yeah.
18 to 22. Thank you.
Next member of our team is Mr. Steve Schwind, our timer. Steve, would you explain your role this evening, please? Very funny.
I'm just doing a little lip reading. I'm assuming that with Jackie's speech, the tail end, I was thinking 2 minutes, but is that out of the ordinary? Like 20, 21 and 22, or 18, 20 and 22? What do you want for a lead in?
I was thinking the latter, but whatever you want to do.
Thank you. When speaking, we like to deliver our messages succinctly and information ladenly. We don't want to put our audiences to sleep, so we typically have a time frame. And with the knowledge of what our time is in which to speak, we have the timer who keeps track of that information to allow us to polish our skills. Tonight, Jackie will be speaking for 22 minutes, and I will provide her with an indicator of her progress in her speech. At 18 minutes, I'll hold up the green indicator to give her an idea of when to head into the glide path. At 20 minutes, she'll see the yellow, and at 22 minutes, the red clock, indicating she's got very few seconds to wrap up. We'll have table topics tonight, which typically go 1 to 2 minutes. The same colors will be presented at 1 minute, at 1 minute 30, and at 2 minutes, indicating 30 seconds to wrap up. Our evaluator will have 2 to 3 minutes. We'll see the green at 2, yellow at 2 minutes 30 seconds, and red at 3 minutes. I will keep track of everyone's speaking times and report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Steve. Our grammarian tonight is Rob Tidd. Rob, would you share your duties, please?
I would be happy to, Madam General Evaluator. My role this evening is to identify the colorful use or misuse of the English language. And I'm especially going to watch for and listen for any turns of phrase that I think that I would like to emphasize during the course of this meeting. And most importantly, I am going to share with you the word of the day, which I'm going to put in the chat, which doesn't look like the whole thing showed up there. So I'm going to type it in there. Here it is. The word of the day is ubiquitous. This is an adjective, meaning present or appearing or found everywhere. A sample sentence. I'm sorry, Jackie. Were you taking a nap? Okay. A sample question using that word would be, cowboy hats are ubiquitous among the male singers. I will be listening for any ubiquitous uses of the word of the day tonight, and I'll report back at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Rob. Ubiquitous. Nice word. Look forward to hearing how people share it. The fourth member of my team tonight has stepped in Selina's place. Pat, thank you for doing that. Would you please share what you will be doing as our AW counter?
Well, you know that the AW counter is the resident nitpicker, looking for all of those little burps and things that disrupt the flow of language. Hopefully they won't be ubiquitous this evening, but I'm looking for well, so, like, but, repeats, and other naughty little interruptions. I'm sure I'll hear none, and you'll all just be so fluent. Thank you.
Is starting a sentence with well acceptable?
Actually, it's not. It falls into the category of other.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Pat. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster, Barbara Walters. Barbara?
Thank you. So I would like to give a have everybody give a big warm welcome to our speaker tonight, Jackie Graybill. As you have heard, she's going to be giving a 18 to 22 minute speech, and I'm excited to hear it. She sent this to me this evening. Her intro is, sometimes all it takes is someone small, smart, and friendly to change your life. The title of her speech is appropriately worded, Smart and Friendly. Thank you, Jackie.
It might surprise you to find this out, but when I was a little girl, I was a tomboy. I used to climb trees all the time, and I didn't mind a little bit of dirt and some scratches and scrapes on my arms and my knees. But something changed as I got older. I decided all of a sudden I didn't like dirt. I especially didn't like camping, and I really didn't like hiking. Ugh. So that's why it was very surprising that in this moment, I had in my hand a steaming pile of poo. The crazier thing was, I didn't mind. I was even smiling. Of course, there was a poop bag in between the poo in my hand. I looked down. I Where's Waldo'd it. His poop can blend in with the grass and the dirt so easily. Made worse by the fact that he's a yoga dog. What do I mean by this? Well, to give you a picture, when he poops, he takes his little paws, and his front paws are touching his back paws, and his back is all curved over, and he moves while he poops. It is the most hysterical thing I have ever seen. I apologize to you that I don't have a video to play, but I feel like that might be crossing the line just a little bit. How did I get here holding what I was holding? In a car. I drove 6 hours to pick this little guy up. I was so nervous. I never had a dog before. What if I messed him up? What if I was a horrible puppy mama? What if he was a holy terror? To alleviate my anxiety, by the way, I'm looking down at him right now. He's chewing on a little treat, so he stays quiet. To alleviate my anxiety, I had an audiobook going of none other than Caesar Milan to help me feel like I would be a better puppy mom. I showed up and I saw one of the most adorable things I had ever seen. I'm going to share with you what I saw. Little buddy. Does he follow me? Yes, he's following you. Hello, little sweetie. Hello, little sweetie. Oh, I don't know you, but I'll get to know you. Hello, little sweetie. So you got a short muzzle. As you can tell from the very beginning, Tyrion was small, smart, and friendly. Well, you can tell the small and the friendly part by the tail wagging. I named Tyrion before he was even born. But I knew that he was going to be small, smart, and friendly, just like his counterpart, my favorite character in the show, Game of Thrones. Never mind the fact that Tyrion on the show shot his dad with a crossbow while he was on the loo. I'm fairly certain, though, that I don't have to worry about that with Tyrion. Tyrion was 3.1 pounds when I first got him. He was very small. He's full grown now, and he's only 20 pounds. The perfect size to pick up with one arm and hold onto the side of the escalator if I need to in the underground, which we have done. It's quite the experience, let me tell you. Tyrion is small, but he's also smart. When I first got Tyrion, it was during the summer. It was during the month of June. And this was perfect because all of my piano students were going on vacation. So I had a lot more time to spend with him. I was worried, though, about the first time I was going to leave him. He had a kennel all set up. He had everything that he would need. I left, and what I saw when I opened that door made me drop my jaw. Everything was in its place except for Tyrion. I opened the door and he was sitting right there, wagging his little tail, waiting for me. How had he gotten out? Maybe I hadn't closed the door well enough. I thought maybe it was a fluke until the same thing happened the second time I left him. So I decided to play a little prank on my dude. I put him in his in his kennel, and I set up a video to see what he would do. I'm going to show you his attempted jailbreak to show you how smart he is. I have no idea how many times he got up there before he finally got over and broke out of his jail. But after that, I decided we were going to the crate. We weren't going to give him any more opportunities to be that smart getting out of his little jail. He was small, smart, and friendly. I lived in an apartment building in Nashville when I got him. I lived there for 8 months, but when I brought Tyrion home, he exploded my social world. I'd met about 3 people until I brought him home. He would not let anyone get away without saying hello. And how can you resist a cute little bundle of fur bounding up and saying hello, hello with his tail wagging and wagging and wagging? Well, they couldn't. So I met so many people. Tyrion comes from a long line of therapy dogs, so he's friendly anyways. But what they told me is they said, if you want him to be a therapy dog, what you want to do is in that first month, introduce him to so many people, to all sorts of demographics, all sorts of experiences. So we met kids, older people people of all skin tones, men, women, people with hats, Santa Claus. No, not Santa Claus. It was during the summer. But he met so many different people. So now he loves everybody. I even took him down the street on the 4th of July to see the fireworks because I didn't want him to be scared of fireworks. To this day, he hears fireworks and he gets a little bit, but he's pretty much fine with it. Small, smart, and friendly. But there's something additional that makes him even more than small and smart and friendly. Tyrion is a therapist. Not the kind you sit and you talk with, but the kind that you spend time with and you feel better afterwards. I got him when I was going through the middle of a divorce with an abusive ex-husband. And I got him to be my emotional support animal. When he would interact with other people, he would bring a smile to their face. And they would say to me quite often, "Oh, I needed this puppy therapy," while they were petting him. Tyrion adapts to the energy of other people. We were recently down in Colorado to see my sister. She has 3 boys, 2, 4, and 6. As you can imagine, it is loud at their house. And to add to that, they have 2 doodle Danes. Or they had at that time. One of them has passed away since then. But these dogs were huge. So they would be in his face. And he would just be like, guys. And the kids, the little boys, would be screaming. And he would just be there wagging his tail. They would pull on him. They would be all around him. And he matched their energy. But if he was around somebody who was older, he would become the sweetest, calmest, most gentle dog. He knew. In December, about 6 months after he came to live with his puppy mama, me, my ex-husband was ramping up, and I decided it was no longer safe to stay in Nashville. My parents invited Tyrion and me to move in with them, which was so surprising to me because my mom is not a dog person. He won her over though because she ended up falling head over heels in love with Tyrion. We made the trek in a car across the United States, all the way from Nashville to East Wenatchee. And the whole time, what was Tyrion doing? Oh, he was just chilling in the passenger seat. He would let us know when he had to go potty, when he got a little restless. This was so different from the day I picked him up. I imagine him saying to me as we drove off from the breeders, Mommy, my tummy hurts. I don't feel so good. By the way, Tyrion has a British accent, an English accent, I've been told to be more exact. And I think it comes from all those times as a girl when I sat with my 4 sisters watching Pride and Prejudice. We did this at least 2 times a year. It's kind of a rite of passage for the Graybill girls. And we would practice a British accent. So it's only natural that that's how Tyrion sounded. I looked down at him and he looked a little green. Golden colored, but a little green. He started to look like he was maybe gonna puke, and we pulled into McDonald's and he puked. I was thinking, oh gosh, how's this drive gonna be? But the rest of the time, total champ. Now he did 2,000-mile journey. Lately, he did a 4,000-mile journey. 9.5 hours in a plane. I was worried, a little bit worried. Was he gonna need to pee? Was he gonna throw up? Actually, he did great. I was the one who ended up throwing up. The flight to the UK was great. But then we got to the hotel. Have you ever spent 16 days in a hotel with a puppy? It's a pretty interesting experience. Tyrion was awesome, but there was so much emotion that was happening and coming over me through the whole process of moving across the country, not across the country, across the world, across the pond. And one day I just couldn't hold it in anymore. I just started crying. And I thought, I need my service dog. Because by this point, I trained Tyrion to be my service dog. I call them assistance dogs over here. And I looked around, Tyrion, I need you. Where are you, buddy? I looked over, I didn't see him. I looked over, I didn't see him. The room wasn't that big. Where was he? Do you know where I found that little dude? He was under the bed. I thought, way to shirk your duties, dude. I made it through. He made it through. I wonder if you have someone in your life who is small and smart and friendly. Or maybe they're not as small as Tyrion. They might not be quite as smart. But maybe they've changed your life. I hope that you do, because in all that I've experienced, all that I've gone through in these crazy past 2 years, so much change, so much moving, even going through COVID with my parents and with Tyrion there to help me feel grounded and present and curious and joyful. He has made the biggest difference of all. Right now, I'm homeless in that I'm staying with a friend, and Tyrion and I are not settled yet. We're not at our forever home yet. But he is my forever home. I hope that you have someone you can call your forever home as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. So can we get a minute to review her, send her a short review, please? Timer.
That would be a minute.
Okay, thank you. If everybody could please send Jackie your words of encouragement and advice, that would be great. The second part of our meeting is the table topic session. And I would like to give a warm welcome, or all of us give a warm welcome to tonight's table topics master, Eric Sepper.
Thank you. Hope and despair. There've been a lot of that this past 18 months. Craziness. We have COVID. We have political strife. We have world strife. What is giving you hope these days, Lloyd?
Thank you, Table Topics Master. I think the thing more than anything else that gives me hope is the knowledge of what's gone on in the past. I was thinking about this just the other day, in fact, when I wrote the theme, because I was cleaning up some papers and I found an essay that I wrote, which was also a speech I gave a couple of years ago about my dad's experience in the Great Depression and World War II. And the point I was trying to make in that essay was that what he did seems remarkable to us, but in his context, it was commonplace. There were millions of Americans who made it through those two events. I mean, imagine that, the Great Depression and World War II back to back, and they just went through it and came out fine. So I think people have a capacity for that. I think today we have less of a capacity for that than they did in that generation, in part because we don't seem to have the sense of community and responsibility and whatnot that the older generation had. I'm not positive that's true, but it seems that way to me. There seems to be less capacity for sacrificing a bit for the common good, as opposed to saying, I got mine, screw you, which is the more common attitude now. But in any event, all of these things that seem like the end of the world, generally speaking, are not. And I think that's going to be true for this as well. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Lloyd. When you are in a funk or depressed, what do you do to bring yourself back up and give yourself some hope? When you are in a funk or you're depressed, what do you do to bring yourself back up and give you hope? Vicki.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. My first go-to is music. I like to turn on something that has a good beat, has great lyrics, and makes me want to dance. There's just something about when you hear a music and you just can start moving, that uplifts your spirits, or perhaps a favorite song that brings back great memories. You know, it's just one of those things that when you hear it on the radio and it comes on, it can't do anything but put you in a good mood because you have all those great memories rolling back in. I can think about times when I'll hear something come on the radio and it's from my time when I was in high school. And so not only am I having fun dancing to this music and everything, it just brings back all of those great memories of friends that I had. And so that's my go-to is the music. Another go-to for me are movies. I like to escape, and if I can find a good movie and it just throws me into their world for a couple hours, I come out and just look at the world in a different space. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Vicki. Excellent answer. Who is the most hopeful person you know, and how do they impact your life? Who is the most hopeful person you know, and how do they impact your life? Rob.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Table Topics Master. I want to say that I am a very positive person that I influence myself. We had a couple weeks ago, we had the theme glass half empty or glass half full. And I have always been a glass half full kind of person, always having hope. Because if you have despair, you get swallowed up by despair. And all you think about is despair, and you can't get out of that rut. Whereas if you have hope, there's always a way to find your way forward to take care of anything that might possibly be despairing in your life. I think that having hope allows a person to find other avenues to escape any despair that might creep into your life. And I've always felt that if it's something I control, I'm going to change it. If it's something I can't control, I'm not going to despair over it. In closing, I would like to say, if you live in the city of East Wenatchee and you feel that there's any despair in our community, vote for me, Rob Tidd, City Councilman, Position 3. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Nice job. What has been the most despairing thing about this pandemic for you? What has been the most despairing thing about this pandemic for you, Steve? And Christina will time.
I don't know that I would say that I suffered any despair or felt like I saw a lot of despair. I think in any kind of a traumatic situation, people do things like jump out of buildings. That may have happened as a result of too much alone time, too much indoor time. I think about the past year of the pandemic, and I know it bottled up on me a little bit. It was one of the rare instances where I felt actually drugged down. I'm not sure how much of it is attributable to the pandemic as opposed to the long gray winter that it seemed to be. I think it was a combination of it all. The thing that I do remember particularly is that I can't really go out and see anybody, and so they're being cheated out of the privilege of my presence. That's the biggest thing I saw as a despairing issue. All in all, it wasn't great. I can't say it was terrible. I actually got to go out and run, jump, and skip probably more than I did. And I got this idea. I had this taste of what it might be like not to go to work every day, otherwise known as retirement. It's not somewhere I'm ready to rush off to, but having extra free time to be able to pursue my passions was really attractive. And the thing I'm pretty certain of is that old saying is nobody was laying on their deathbed wondering, could I have gotten in one more day of work? We have passions to pursue. I hope you find yours, and I hope you go after them and make sure that you work to live, not live to work.
Good job, Steve. Are you a gal whose glass is half full or half empty? And why? Are you a gal whose glass is half empty or half full, and why? Barbara.
I would say that I'm a combination of both. That it depends on the environment I'm in. It depends on the people that I'm with. It depends on the moment of time that I'm in. For example, on Friday, I was at Wazoo Veterinary Hospital with my 110-pound German Shepherd dog. The last appointment 6 months ago was very inspiring. His heart, which was enlarged, had actually shrunken in size, increased in capacity. I felt very hopeful that this was the news that I would receive on Friday as well. But it wasn't. And I was by myself. And I was with a very young teacher at the vet hospital who did not have very good table side. It's not manners. He would be great. He was very intelligent and very smart and knew what he was doing, but he did not know what to do with me in my moments of despair. And so when he delivered his news, I was very distraught and had to drive all the way home, distraught. But once I got home and I was in a different environment and surrounded by people I love, my glass was definitely half full, not half empty. Back to you, Table Topics Master. Thank you for that inspiring question.
Excellent job, guys. You guys knocked it out of the park. What a group. I'm going to throw it back to our Toastmaster, Barbara.
Those are great questions. Thank you, Eric. I am going to punt it over back to our general evaluator so that she can work with her team to tell us how we all did tonight. Christina.
Thank you, Barbara. Let's begin our evaluation process with our speech evaluator, Dean.
Thank you. Well, Jackie, that was a very engaging speech. I enjoyed your stories. As I understand it, your core message was all it takes is someone small and friendly, smart and friendly, to change your life. And I thought all of your stories supported that message. I found them more amusing than humorous, but I think that was part of your intention. With some additional research, you might actually make them rather funny. I did see some laughter, so maybe it's just my sense of humor that didn't have me rolling on the floor laughing out loud. They did keep me engaged and interested, however. I thought your videos were extremely cute, and they made me want to get one, even though my cats would not be happy about that. I would suggest that you edit them a little bit, especially the first one, because there was some part of it was looking at the grass and feet and that sort of thing. And you could edit them a little shorter. And something else you could do is think of some witty, humorous comments. If you've ever watched the likes of John Oliver, they'll show a bunch of video clips and then they'll have some hilarious comment at the end of it. And I'm not sure what that might be, but for example, maybe when Tyrion was licking your hand, you could have said something like, geez, don't you wish all your friends met you that way? Maybe that's too stupid to be funny, but something like that. I more or less liked your introduction, but it left me a little bit confused, I guess. You talked about how you would like dirt when you were young, and then you'd kind of outgrown it, and then you found yourself holding a bag of poop. And I was not quite sure where you were going with that, but maybe that was part of the point, because it kept me interested to find out where, in fact, you were going with that. The other thing that you could have done would be to have more, I guess, personal reflections on how Tyrion helped you through a very difficult time. He obviously did. A very difficult and emotional time. I know for my pets, I've been thinking about that, about all the enormous things they've helped me learn. And some of them, you know, for example, how to laugh again, how to cry again, very, very meaningful things that I've learned from them. But to summarize, it was an outstanding speech with a very engaging pet, and you are obviously very lucky to have found such a partner in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Great evaluation. Thoughts, good, positive suggestions for Jackie as well. The next member of our team is our timer, Steve Schwinn. Steve, could you please share your timer's report with us?
Thank you. I'd be happy to do that. Tonight, Jackie's speech, which I didn't get to hold up even the green card, but it was right there. 17 minutes, 18 seconds. Lloyd, you were 136. Rob was 143. Vicky, 111. One of your shorter ones. You normally are good at getting right to the wire. Barbara, 147. Dean, your evaluation was under the fence, 329. And I was 205. And I think that's everybody. That is my report. Thank you, Madame GE. Back to you.
Thank you, Steve. The next member of our team tonight is our grammarian, Rob Tidd. Rob, could we hear how we did?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. My comments will be small, smart, and friendly. Jackie's speech included a section about a yoga dog, and I had some very visual visions in my head about that particular dog, having seen similar instances of that kind of maneuver. You mentioned a Caesar Milan, and I felt as if I were the only one in the room who didn't know who Caesar Milan was. I guess I need to go check him out. Pat, you were the only one that used the word of the day. So the use of the word of the day was anything but ubiquitous. I will have to be a little more selective in the word of the day next time I'm asked to be the grammarian. And as I indicated, my comments are small, smart, and friendly this evening. That is my report. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Rob, for those ubiquitous comments. There you go. I can say there are two others who were not familiar either with, I can't even remember his name now, Caesar something or something Caesar.
Bugsy Malone.
Yeah, him. We'll do our homework together, Rob. The next member.
I think he was a hairstylist.
I think I might have gone to him.
He's
The
like
next
the
member
dog
of our team is our awe counter, Pat Whitfield. Pat, please share your report with us.
Like Rob, I've never heard of Caesar Milan either, so I'll have to look it up. Obviously, I've been living in a cave. Here we go. Jackie had 2 wells, 4 sows, and 2 butts. Rob had 2 ands and an and sow. Dean had a sow, 2 ands, and threw in an I guess. So I guess that comes under the category of other. Steve had 2 ands. Barbara had a so, an and so. Eric was pristine. Vicky had 2 so's. Christina was equally pristine. Lloyd also absolutely pure. That's the end of my list.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you to all the members of tonight's evaluation team for your reports, for your thoughtful comments, for paying attention. Always an important thing. Jackie, thank you for a great speech. It never fails to amaze me, this Zoom thing that enables Jackie to be on one side of the globe, us on the other side of the globe, as if we're meeting together in a room. Speaking of meeting together in a room, is there an update? I will let that go. That's not part of my job. Great meeting tonight. We started just a minute late. We will end on time, even with the officer slate presentation. At this point, I would like to turn the meeting back over to our president, Jackie Craygill.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Fabulous meeting, and we are ready to jump into our elections. I believe, Lloyd, is that right? You're muted.
Here we go. Yes. Do you want me to do it, Jackie? I have the slate right here.
Sure, go right ahead.
What happened was that Mary Cyree offered to take on the formation of a committee to recruit people to run for the various offices. And the ad hoc committee turned out to be Jackie, me, Rob, and Mary. And I'm pleased to say that we have 6 of the 7 offices with 1 person who was interested in each one. But we do have a quorum, so we can legitimately vote on that. We have 14 paid members and 10 people here tonight, so we're in good shape for that. I think probably the best and simplest way to do it would just be to vote on the entire slate. Is that agreeable to everybody? Okay. The slate is, and by the way, all of these people know they have been nominated, so we're not going to see any shocked reactions. For President, Barbara. For VPE, Vice President of Education, Rob. For Vice President of Membership, Pat. For Vice President of Public Relations, Selena. For Secretary, me. For Treasurer, Eric. And the Sergeant at Arms position is open at the moment. Would anyone like to nominate him or herself for that position?
I would be happy to continue that, Lloyd.
I would second that nomination.
Okay, we can do that. Okay, so I guess what we want to do is all in favor of the slate of officers, raise your hand. Good enough. We've just had an election. Congratulations to everybody. I will, Jackie, I'll submit these on the TI site tomorrow morning, probably. Okay, thank you all very much. Christina, the Kathleen and Selena, and I think there's somebody else are working on the transition back. And since both of them are gone tonight, it's kind of hard to guess what's been going on. So
I've been working on that with Kathleen,
okay.
and
Good.
I don't have an update for you because I don't want to spoil her presentation, but she will be sharing that information with us probably next meeting.
Okay, good. Thank you.
There
Paul.
are options out there,
Yeah.
but there's also frustrations.
Yes.
And
And
despair.
we are not alone in that. This is a worldwide issue, that how to do this transition back. It's going to be trickier than the transition away from the in-person meetings.
And I can let you know that Toastmasters International may be coming out with protocol as to how hybrid will be run. I haven't
Oh.
heard officially yet, but that has been mentioned that there may actually be some guidance as to how.
Yeah, it's a big deal. You got to remember TI is worldwide, 15,000 clubs in 125 countries. So it's really tricky to do it. There are a bunch of countries where it's way too dangerous to meet in person right now, so anyway, it'll happen. Hey, knock it off, you idiot. It'll happen, but cat. But how it's going to be done, who knows? It's going to be tricky. Okay, back to you, Jackie.
Thank you, Lloyd. I appreciate that. Does anybody else have anything they would like to bring forward? Yes, Pat.
Well, if you've noticed, my head has been spinning. There's a chicken in my yard. I don't live anywhere near a farm. There's a chicken in my yard. That is the weirdest thing in my neighborhood. Oh my God.
Sounds like you know what you're having for dinner.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I see some eggs in your future.
Urban chicken farming is becoming a big deal. It's so big that a couple of weeks ago, I think it was the Department of Agriculture or somebody had to issue a warning to people not to snuggle with their chickens because live chickens carry salmonella. And there's been a noticeable outbreak around the country as people have been hugging their chickens.
You know what they need to get? They need to get somebody small, smart, and friendly that is not a chicken.
Chase the chicken around, obviously.
You need
Hi,
to get
guys.
themselves a little yoga dog. Bye. Thank
Have a
you
good week,
all.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Good night. Great.
Yeah, in a couple weeks.